First Lady, for the most part, has not commented about this sensitive time in the White House surrounding news of her husband's past alleged affairs.
Illegally, I was married before. I said, like, yeah, find me the husband that I was married before my husband.
The truth about Melania Trump is far more shocking than anyone would have thought to imagine. Some new revelations are shaking the foundation of her public image and are exposing truths that are too shocking to ignore. Could there be hidden secrets that have been covered up for years? What will these new revelations mean for her future and the Trump legacy? Join us as we look deeply into the horrifying truth about Melania Trump that has just been revealed. The hidden truth behind Melania Trump. In the eyes of the media, Melania Trump has more often than not been seen as a sort of mystery, an elegant, confident, and poised woman who oozes authority on most days. However, the information that has just been exposed may scatter this image of her that the public has come to know. Behind the very beautiful face are some secrets that will be talked about. The whispers started gaining ground in 2016, as at the time the ex-president's campaign for presidency became intense and gained global scrutiny. Melania, who was always in the background, appeared unbothered in her usual manner, as if nothing could rattle her. However, some sources who are close to the family have said that her calm nature might have just been a mask that she was putting on. Born in Slovenia, no one could have predicted that a young, naive girl from a small town in Yugoslavia would grow up to become one of the most respected and recognized women in history today. She was raised modestly, as her family was very strict, and this shaped her disciplined personality. Now, as much as her early years were quiet, some parts of her past do not fit into the image that has now risen to a global stage. An insider who is close to her family stated that her life was not as easy as it has often been shown to the public. In 1996, long before she got married to Donald Trump, she was a model who was just trying to navigate her way in the hard industry. A lot of whispers have said that her connections during the period of her modeling in the European world are not as innocent as people know them to be. There are also rumors that these connections have in one way or another played a role in shaping her future as we know it now. When Melania got married to Trump in 2005, it was indeed like a cliché fairy tale wedding that was done for the sole purpose of beauty and wealth from each of the sides, which led it to be a very glamorous one that gained the attention of the whole world. But the media is now claiming that behind this very extravagant facade, the life she has led in the Trump household has been the complete opposite of what has been portrayed. There are talks about her struggling to maintain her place in the Trump household, which is filled with many power plays and complicated relationships. It was also hinted that her journey to the White House was not something she anticipated or wanted, but a planned move by those who were very close to her. What if her silence all these years was not one of indifference or nonchalance, but a way of protecting herself from the political troubles that were surrounding her husband? While publicly she was seen as a supportive First Lady, her actions often made people suspicious. Was it her decision to stay in New York for the first few months when Donald Trump won the presidential election? It has now been suggested that the choices she made were not even what she wanted, and that her reluctance to fully get into her role as the First Lady was probably related to her personal life. As we continue to go deeper into her life, more startling truths are being revealed. Let's move forward to see what other secrets may have been hiding in plain sight all along. Melania's struggles and choices. Sources close to the family suggest that the former First Lady may have been more influential than she let people know, managing her image in public and making strategic moves behind the scenes. This shows that there is something she was trying to protect by choosing to remain in the shadows when she should have been shining brightly with the rest of the Trump family. A lot of rumors were circulated during the early days of Donald Trump's presidency about Melania's sheer refusal to move to Washington, D.C. with her husband. The official story that was put out was that she decided to stay in New York because of their son Barron to allow him to finish the school year. However, the media suggests that it was a well-calculated plan to distance herself from the chaotic administration that her husband was leading. Others believe that her decision to stay was because of her overwhelming desire to have some sort of normalcy for both herself and her child. One of the most talked about moments during Melania's time as the First Lady was her infamous jacket, which Sue wore during one of her visits to the detention center where they kept migrant children. The back of her jacket has the inscription, "I don't really care, do you?" And the message quickly caused a media frenzy. People started asking questions if this weighty statement was meant for her critics or just a misunderstanding. Some people even went as far as calling it some sort of rebellion. In public, she refuted the allegations, claiming that the jacket didn't have any hidden meaning and that people were just being paranoid. But insiders had something different to say. Some people close to the lady at that time suggested that the jacket be chosen and worn while being aware of the impact it would make. Some people said it was her subtle way of distancing herself from the president's ways, showing her disapproval without directly confronting the issues. But the question remains, why chose to wear a jacket with such a cryptic message at such a sensitive time and place? It could be seen as an act of rebellion to keep the public guessing what her true feelings are and the mystery that surrounds her. To this day, the real meaning behind the jacket is still not clear and has left room for endless speculation. In addition to her little public appearances, Melania's role behind the scenes during the administration of her husband was equally something that puzzled the minds of people. It was suggested that she played a much bigger role in some vital decisions than the public knows. Some have even gone as far as saying that her influence extended into the dealings of her husband politically and that she would always advocate for certain policies behind closed doors. A media house described her as a silent strategist who offered her advice and opinions in private while publicly maintaining her aloof and reserved personality. A question that has bugged individuals is if it were true that she had such a key role and why she decided to distance herself from the limelight. There is also the question of the amount of influence she had on the decision-making ability of the past president. Is it possible that she was a key player in some of the controversial administrative moves? While others are sure of this development, others have argued that she was only an observer who was there to watch how the events were going to unfold without stepping into the game. Another part of Melania's struggle is her relationship with Donald Trump. This topic of discussion has been on the minds of the people for years, and yet the story has never truly been told. People have speculated that their marriage is solely based on personal gains from each of them. A business arrangement that was mutually beneficial but didn't have any sort of connection emotionally. While others have argued that Melania is a very loyal wife to her husband and has chosen to stand by him through it all. But what do we know is the truth? Behind the beautiful pictures and the public appearance where they both appear sweet and cool, reports have shown that their marriage is far from being like that in private. The media has gotten information from the people who knew them during their time in the White House that Melania and Donald have often led very separate lives. While she was in a way cheering for her husband in public, she may have struggled with the overwhelming feeling of being married to one of the world's most controversial people. But if that is so, it is important to think of the fact that she chose to stay and endure in the marriage. This could be because of their son, while other people have said that maybe she was a loyal person to a fault and come what may, had promised to always be loyal to the past president. Now let us look deeper into her influence within the Trump administration and uncover the hidden moves that may have shaped history, the hidden influences of Melania Trump. Even though she had sold her personality to the public, she played a very significant and deep role in shaping important decisions and helping to manage the public image of the family. Her involvement was not just limited to ceremonies, but also to other personal and political areas. One of the very distinct revelations that has come up is Melania's impact in influencing the appointment of staff. While Donald Trump's way of staffing was often known as dramatic and very public, people have suggested that Melania has her own different method of making these decisions behind the scenes. Sources have indicated that she has advocated for some certain individuals, subtly influencing her husband's decision to be placed in the position of power within the administration. In doing this, she assembled a team that, while not always visible, played an important role in the operations of the administration. Melania's impact also extended to the way Trump's family public relations were managed. Her approach to making sure the public scrutiny that the Trump family faced was also very strategic. People close to her have described her input as a very crucial one that helped in drafting the media's narrative of the family for the public. She did this by using her knowledge of the way the media works to move the family into a positive and favorable light. Doing this carefully has also allowed the public's perception of the family to be controlled to a level, even amidst widespread controversy. In addition to the efforts she has put in as regards public relations, her influence was also seen in personal matters that occurred in the Trump household. From organizing family ceremonies to making selections of private staff, Her decisions and preferences have made a significant impact in shaping the private life of the family. This has helped them manage themselves better while undergoing their day-to-day affairs. The extent to which the ex-president's wife's influence has gone is beyond maneuvering from behind the scenes. She is a smart one, calculating all her moves and being as stealthy as possible because her ability to do all these things demonstrates her level of strategic thinking and involvement that was not always known to the public. Moreover, her approach to her role in the administration was marked by her choice to deliberately stay low, allowing her to solidify her influence without being noticed. Let's continue to explore the complexities of her impact on the Trump administration and the secrets that may still lie beneath the surface. The enigmatic role of Melania's advisors. During the time of Trump's administration, Melania's choices of advisors played a very important role that was overlooked and seen as nothing. As much as her public appearances had suggested that she was not an outgoing person, her network of advisors was the complete opposite. These people played one of the important roles in shaping her image publicly and influencing the inner workings of the administration. They understood their roles very well and made the power dynamics of their client very strong but subtle. Melania's advisory team consisted of a group of trained professionals who specialized in several aspects of media management and public relations. These advisors were experts in maintaining her public image. This professionalism was mostly seen during times of public scrutiny or whenever a controversial time arose. For example, during the infamous jacket incident, these individuals handled it very carefully and strategically. They didn't just think about doing damage control, but also about creating a positive result from an already negative action that would allow the First Lady to maintain a dignified presence irrespective of the media storm. They were also involved in putting Melania's public appearances and speeches together. Their guidance made sure that every public engagement that she had was aligned to fit her strategy. Whether it was when she was granting an interview, attending a high-profile charity event, or just doing a routine public appearance, they made sure that their influence was very evident in how these events were perceived by the media and the public. Apart from being a pro in media management, Melania's dedicated team also included people who were politically knowledgeable with significant connections in the administration. These people provided her with valuable ideas that were needed in the administration, and this made her stay informed about important developments and the impact they had on her role. Reports have suggested that these advisors had a hand in guiding her approach to various issues that had to do with policy, helping her to navigate difficult landscapes, and also align her actions with the goals of the administration, which helped her to maintain a balance between her public role and her personal interests. By maintaining this balance, Melania's private affairs were well managed and kept away from the eye of the public. They also helped to handle the family's image during events, enabling Melania to focus on her public role at that minute without any form of distraction whatsoever. Handling controversial statements and opinions was also one of the key responsibilities of these advisors. There were so many challenges faced, and they were at the forefront of it all, managing it and making sure these issues didn't go out of hand. The way they crafted responses also ensured that the narrative of the administration remained consistent, positive, and favorable. For instance, during a time of very high scrutiny by the media, the team gave good advice on how to handle the situation, and as soon as this advice was heeded to the letter, the problem was able to be handled. It can therefore be said that the team of advisors that Melania had went beyond just political strategy, media management, or public relations. This power play helped to make Melania influential and guided her actions in ways that were not easily noticed. This allowed them to maneuver behind the scenes and shape her public statements. Their influence was felt in various areas of her role and contributed to her success as the First Lady. As much as her advisors played a role in her success stories, there is much more to Melania's influence. What other hidden aspects of her role are still waiting to be exposed? The First Lady's role in balancing power and privacy. The role of the media in shaping the way the public thinks of Melania Trump cannot be overemphasized. During her time as the First Lady, she made sure to fit into the narrative of the introverted woman and a powerful influencer behind the scenes. She was such a force shrouded in mystery, and this was the core of her fame. Unlike her predecessors, Melania never fought the narrative of the media publicly. It was like she enjoyed the fact that no one could figure her out and kept at it. She allowed the media mystery of her to deepen and fueled more public interest. One way by which she did it was by avoiding controversies and not speaking about them. When it was the fact that her fashion choices were criticized or rumors about her relationship with her husband, her typical response was silence, which showed that her team understood the power of leaving things unsaid. They did not react to every piece of gossip about her, and it made her intriguing. It is impossible to talk about Melania Trump, the very unique First Lady, and her public image without talking about her fashion choices. Melania Trump influenced fashion and made so many bold fashion statements. From the pantsuit that she wore during her husband's State of the Union address to the jacket that caused a frenzy, every outfit was fashion-oriented, which increased the media speculation about what her true intentions were. Fashion experts, influencers, as well as commentators on politics talked about her outfit, searching for whatever hidden message they could find. Some expressed just how much of a fashionista she was, while others just fed their eyes with how fashion-savvy she was. Regardless of the interpretations given to it, her fashion sense was undeniably part of her strategy to ensure that she remained at the center of the public's conversation. She used the power of silence to her advantage, and this was one of her most effective strategies while in the White House. It can be said that it still is. Her silence was a form of power in a political setting where many others were quick to defend themselves at any point. However, one of the most challenging parts of being a First Lady was how difficult it was to navigate her enormous role. It should not be forgotten that before she became a First Lady, she was first a wife and a mother. And as the First Lady, there was a need to strike a balance between being a supportive wife, an amazing mother, a respectable First Lady, and also taking care of herself. It is well known that the Trump household is tightly knitted, and Melania fitting in was not always an easy task. People have suggested that she often had to play the role of a mediator between Donald Trump and his other family members, including his adult children, to keep everyone in control and ensure that their issues didn't extend to larger fights. She had the ability to remain neutral and calm in the toughest situations where others lost composure. By doing this, she was able to achieve a peaceful coexistence between her husband and all other members of his family. As a mother, she was deeply committed to taking care of her son Barron, and this was very evident, even to the public. Her decision to always protect and be there for her son shaped many of her decisions. One of the most commendable things she did was shield Barron from the harsh spotlight that politics often brought, and this was why he was not always shown to the public. This made it easy for him to be removed from as many political controversies as possible. Her maternal instinct was very much alive and kicking, and she used it to the best of her knowledge. Her relationship with her key staff members was also an aspect of her influence. While Donald Trump's administration was known for a series of internal conflicts, Melania kept a small, dedicated group of staff members who were loyal to a fault. This small and tight-knit group helped her to be able to handle the difficulties that came with being in the White House, supporting, advising, and encouraging her when the need arose. Stephanie Grisham, who was her then chief of staff, was one of her closest advisors and helped her greatly. They were able to come together to develop a strategy that allowed her to maintain her appearance in public. Another part of the fascinating phases of Melania's influence was her ability to balance power with her privacy. Unlike some public figures who cannot handle fame and others who crave the spotlight a lot, Melania avoided it actively. She was able to quickly recognize that in a world where everyone wants attention and popularity, sometimes the people who are the most powerful are the ones who choose to remain silent and let others speak. In doing this, she became a First Lady like no other. It is no doubt that Melania has left a legacy behind. Let's explore more of her carefully constructed narrative, legacy and life beyond the White House. Donald Trump left the White House in January 2021, and by extension, Melania's time as the First Lady also came to an end. It marked the end of one of the most scrutinized and chaotic tenures in the history of America's presidency. But the legacy that Melania left behind cannot easily be forgotten. She left a lasting footprint, especially through her campaign, which she tagged Be Best. The campaign aimed at improving the lives and well-being of children by promoting online safety and also fighting against the abuse of opioids. Supporters as well as critics agreed on one thing, and this was the fact that Melania Trump was not your typical First Lady. She embodied her role and redefined it in her own way, often shedding away the more traditional expectations that were being looked out for and replacing them with a more private image. Some people said it lacked engagement, while others saw it as a calculated decision that she made to maintain her dignity in an environment that was politically chaotic. Either way, it is certain that Melania's time in the White House will be remembered for being a very loud contrast to that of her husband. Since leaving Washington, D.C., Melania Trump's life has become private. Melania has kept a low profile and has chosen to focus more on her personal life and family. She has been seen at the Mar-a-Lago, which is the Trump's family private club located in Florida, where she spends the most of her time relaxing and enjoying. While she is no longer in a position of power, the influence Melania has on her family as well as her husband still remains a topic in which the world is interested. People have suggested that Melania is content with life after White House and embracing her beautiful role as a mother to her son, Barron Trump, while still supporting her husband. There have been some occasional appearances in public, but these are not as many as the events she attended while she was First Lady. Funny enough, there is still that air of mystery around her, and this is why people are still very interested in her. We do not know whether she will take on a more public role in the future or continue to live the way she has. But one certain thing is that Melania still continues to make headlines even in her absence. While Melania stepped back from being in the spotlight, her Be Best campaign still continues to be impactful. Many of the initiatives that she started when she was the First Lady are still going strong, and various organizations have modeled her and continued the work she began. Her focus on the well-being of children in this age resonated with many parents' concerns and the growing influence that the world of social media now has on kids. Some of her critics have said that her campaign lacks substance, but the truth remains that by doing this, Melania brought the focus of the people to important issues. This has sparked conversations about the mental health of children, their safety online, and the harmful effects of misuse of drugs. Now, her legacy is contrasting both to her husband and her predecessors. While the previous First Ladies like Hillary Clinton and Michelle Obama have taken very visible roles, she has chosen the opposite. This contrast also extends to her relationship with her husband, who still dominates the media world with his very bold personality. This has led people to be suspicious of her and ask different questions. But like her personality, she has refused to say anything, which has just succeeded in making the public more curious. As the Trump family moves forward, Melania's impact in shaping their legacy continues. While Donald Trump is known to continue dominating headlines and political discussions, Melania has ensured that she retains herself and focuses on more important parts of her life, like her son Barron. One thing is clear though, and this is the fact that Melania Trump is far from finished. She remains one of the most unique First Ladies in the history of America and will continue to be talked about in years to come. She may have left the White House, but her story is far from being over. We can only watch with bated breath the next course of action for the flourishing ex-First Lady. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for more updates. And while you're still here, click the video on your screen for more mind-blowing content.